Within every After Effects project, you have compositions, and within the composition settings is an area where you can specify a renderer. A renderer is the part of After Effects that analyzes the data contained within a composition and determines how the scene should look. Things like the shininess of a layer, or can a layer even have shininess? Can the layer exist in 3D space? If it does exist in 3D space, can it have 3D depth? Different renderers give you different options. And in this tutorial, I'll show you how to switch between renderers in After Effects. Start by going to the project panel and double-clicking on the 01 Naturalist's 2D composition. This should look pretty familiar because it's a bunch of Illustrator layers on top of an orange solid. Select layer 1 and press P to open the position, and you'll notice it has X position and Y position, which means it exists in 2D space. In order to create 3D space in After Effects, all you have to do is enable 3D for a layer. So go to the right side of the switches column here and click in this box to enable 3D for that layer. Once I've enabled 3D, now I have X, Y, and Z for the position of this layer. Now if we go down, you'll notice I have material options. Open the material options and you can see there are several different options. Light transmission, diffusion, specular intensity. Don't worry, if you're not familiar with these terms, it's easy enough to figure out once you start scrubbing with the different parameters. The important thing to understand is there are material options, and that determines how the material will appear within this renderer. So collapse the material options, and then you'll notice the geometry options are grayed out. If you look to the right of the geometry options, click on the text Change Renderer. That will automatically open your composition settings directly to the 3D renderer area. By default, After Effects is in the classic 3D renderer. This will allow you to position layers in 3D space, but they will remain 2D layers. Click on the drop-down and choose Cinema 4D. Immediately, you'll see a list of features that are enabled, like the ability to extrude and bevel text and shapes. And then there are features that are disabled, like blend modes and track mats. If we wanted to change this composition to the Cinema 4D renderer, all we'd have to do is go down and press OK. So go ahead and press OK. Once we do that, now we get access to geometry options. And if I open the geometry options, since this is an Illustrator layer, I have the ability to curve that layer. Now I've already set up some compositions with the different renderers, so you can get a general idea as to how the objects would appear within those renderers. Go back to the project panel and double-click on the 02 Naturalist's Classic 3D composition. In this comp, you'll notice I have 3 different lights, I have a camera, and I have a bunch of layers that exist in 3D space. Select the camera layer, layer 4, and press P on your keyboard to open the position. Scrub on the X parameter of the camera to see the depth of the scene. While these layers are flat, they exist in different planes in Z depth, so we get the perception of actual 3D. Go back to the project panel and double-click on the 03 composition, and notice this one actually contains an element that has true 3D depth. If we look in the timeline, go to layer 4, and you can see we have a shape layer, and this shape layer was created by converting this Illustrator layer. So I'll select layer 4 and press R to open the rotation and orientation settings. If you click and drag on the Y rotation, you can see this object is a true 3-dimensional object, and that's only available within the Cinema 4D renderer. When you're in the Cinema 4D renderer, if you go to the upper right corner of the composition panel, you'll see a button that says Cinema 4D. Go ahead and click on that, and you notice this button will take you to the composition settings in the 3D renderer area as well. So you could change the composition back to a different renderer. Just to understand, if you want true 3D depth in your objects, you need to be using the Cinema 4D renderer.